Oh,
Hey, how you
we
doing?
are live.
How's everybody?
Ah,
I'm
so
a mess
welcome back.
today, everybody. I apologize in advance. So I messed up, Yang. It's all my fault.
No, it's good. Welcome everyone. Uh, we are back again. John's Longbox, one of our favorite guests here,
Oh, thank you.
and today John is joining the ranks, or very soon John will join the ranks of people crowdfunding comics.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm getting nervous, and the pressure is starting to build. I wanted to say this. This made my day. This was really sweet. Tome of Reckoning. I got these comics
Mhm.
today. They were on my
Oh,
stoop when I came
nice!
home. Just gorgeous looking. Just gorgeous looking.
Wow.
This he put this little post-it note on the comic. I don't know if you could see it, but it says, "Thank you, John. Here's to a successful heroic tales."
Oh, that's
So
nice.
I gotta say, maybe because I was very hungry, but I got very emotional. I was like, "Oh man, this crowdfunding group of people, it's the sweetest people, so nice. Everybody's so helpful." Oh, good.
Yeah.
I hate when my face is that big. So because I started just doing a YouTube channel about
Mhm.
3 years ago, and I had no intentions of making a comic book or talking to people. It was just me picking up a comic book, talking about it, and hopefully I'd get a couple of comments. That's really all I imagined. And next thing you know, I'm I got guests coming on the show, and then I'm making a comic, and then I was just like, all right, I'm going to make a comic. I went and hired an artist, and I write the script, and I'm doing it, and then people are like, oh, so who's doing your print files? And like, what do you mean by this? What about distribute? What do you mean by this? And I was like, oh my god, I just bit off more than I could chew. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, there's steps that I didn't know were steps. So I've been reaching out to a whole bunch of other successful people. I'd have them on my channel. We talk, and then after they're like, this, you got to do this. Talk to this guy. This guy's good. What about your logos? Oh yeah, I got to get logos for my. Talk to this guy. And next thing you know, so issue 2 like is going to go off like clockwork. Because I was joking, and then I realized it's not a joke. I assembled the Avengers of comic book making. I got such a great team of people. Okay, can we do this? You got it. Boom. Within 6 hours, every problem is fixed. And let me be
Awesome.
totally honest, I'm the problem. I'm the amateur of this group of people. So yeah, but I'm
Ah.
excited. I'm excited. So yes,
Um,
to answer your question, yes, I'm entering the ranks of crowdfunding people. I was up for a long-winded answer.
so you've got you've assembled your Avengers of comics. What would you say that you've, other than like, oh crap, I need someone to prep the files for print and this and that, like what, just in terms of having to deal with people who work in the arts versus your normal job, which is in the trades. Like
Yeah.
how has it been the same or different in working with people?
Well, every job I went to, the foreman is a grouchy old bastard. I'll just be blunt, and everybody hates it. But we're our own. We make them that way. You know what I mean? Guys are
Mhm.
sneaking out early. Guys are drunk. That guys aren't coming in. You know what I mean? So the foreman's always just come out swinging, and I said, but I don't want to be like that. I don't like being the grouchy old guy. This is supposed to be fun. We're making comic books. This is supposed to be a fun thing. So I just swore to myself I was never going to be mean. I was never going to be bossy, and it never even came up. I feel like I'm talking to buddies. Like I got
Oh,
Rendo
nice.
Rodriguez doing the art, and he is like when I get a message from him, I joke that it glows because he is like a saint. He's the nicest, sweetest guy. He's smiling. He's positive. Like every time we talk, he's like, "This is so much fun. This is great. This is I can't. This is exciting. Oh wow, you want me to draw that? This is cool. So and I'm not an artist, so like the very few changes that I asked for, because he wanted some details in every panel. So and I'm
Mhm.
like, so maybe I went a little overboard with details, but he said he liked it that way because he said there's so many times where he English is not his first language, that
Oh yeah.
it's an inordinate time fixing things because of miscommunications. And when you're trying to do a page a day, every couple of days, that's money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to mess with so I err on the side of communication. So I gave as much details as I possibly could. And and again, any changes that I asked for was on like, oh, this is a better way to do that. So can we do this? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm like, okay, what, I'm paying you for another. No, I fixed it. I fixed it. Like, so I guess it's what to do with layering when you're doing digital artwork. He could take something, so, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there with the piece of paper and he has to erase everything or crumble it all up. You know what I mean? So everything like that. The coloring, I kind of just gave a couple of vague, this is during the day, this guy's a white guy, this guy's a black guy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they also have the script, but the only mistakes in the coloring, the colorist picked up later on. He's like, oh yeah, this was all daylight, and then there was like a large gap, and then when he went back, he started calling because this should have been daylight also, and I didn't even pick that up, you know what I mean? So but that's nothing, you know what I mean? The color, he just, I guess, deleted a file and inserted another file, but so that's the extent of like corrections, but nothing major. And it's funny because the only corrections that are or things that are making things low is I keep having ideas to make the comic bigger. It was originally just gonna be a 22-page story with like a letters page, but there's gonna be no letters, so it's gonna be in the old Marvels when you got the first issue, welcome true believers. I had this idea. So that's what that was. And then I was like, let's do a backup. A backup would be fun about a villain. So we'll do the 22 pages of the superhero, the patriarch, and then there's going to be the origin of one of the bad guys. The Suit is his name. He'll be the bad guy. And then I'm going to put a couple of pages of mock ads. And then I was like, you know what? How about like a 2-page spread of a map of the city, of Science City, where everything. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And then friends were like, well, how much are you going to charge for this? And I was like, me and my enthusiasm and naivety, I didn't even think of that. And I just said, I cannot in good conscience charge more than $10. You know what I mean? I just said $10. If I take a loss, I take a loss.
Wow.
But I'm confident that everyone's like, you're gonna get all this for $10. Maybe not in the first campaign, but you're gonna see other people like, look at this. This was one of the cheapest crowdfunding comics, and look at this. So maybe by issue, because I'll overprint, and I'll have some. Maybe by issue 2, the people will pick up 1 and 2 bundles and stuff like that. So because I've already had people going, is that a misprint? It's $10. Comic books shouldn't be expensive.
Yeah, I mean that's what the Iconics guys did with at least Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini with Common America. Is they were charging about 10. I'm not quite sure what the next one's going to be, but they were charging $10 per issue, and that really helped them to sort of get over the hump, because I think there's a lot of people who are like, ooh, $25 and $5 shipping. That's a lot.
And I'm a lunatic, and I buy comic books all the time. I buy every day. I come home and there's a crowdfunded comic on the porch. And my wife's like, another comic book. And but I love comics. If that's not obvious, but I don't want. I just feel like it shouldn't be. I'm not going to mention names, but paying $35 for a comic book is ridiculous. I don't care what it is. You call it a graphic novel all you want. It's a comic book. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be that much money. And again, like Cyber Frog, I paid $25, but I didn't mind because I got this metallic cover, and it came with a couple extra things. It came with this figure right above my head. So to me, that was. But I don't have the connections to make toys. Maybe hopefully down the line, and then I could justify $25. But I'm a comic book. There's a pint glass, but that's an add-on. You don't have to buy this. That's, and I got a coin that I got made up that I'm gonna put in everybody's. So you're gonna have like a little what do they call them? A challenge coin. Real simple, nothing crazy. Because it's fun. I was trying to make a T-shirt. I was telling you before we went live that this woman was designing my T-shirt for 3 weeks. Every day emails, and then she's like, "Can you come in?" So I was a little bit late because I had to go talk to the t-shirt lady. She's around the block from me. I'm trying to use a local place. And, I wanted the patriarch's like triangle with the wreath and everything like that to look like I'm the patriarch putting on a shirt. You know what I mean? And all it was a purple shirt with a little square over here of the I was like, that's not what I want. Actually, it was a white shirt because I was gonna have purple printed on the white. I was like,
oh, cool.
I was like, come on. And she's like, well, here's your money back. I can't do what you want. I was like, all right. So that was a setback, but that's I just wanted to wear one mock-up shirt in all my promotional videos.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but
anyway,
that's all right. You'll get there.
Does think that a $25 comic should be 48 pages or over. Yes,
I would say a lot over.
A lot. I would say a lot over too, but mine's not going to be 48 pages. Like I said, mine's probably because I'm still waiting for a couple people to do like a little 1-page pinup stuff. So depending on when I get back, so it's going to be about 35 pages for $10.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean that would put it more or less in line with what the big two are charging for a floppy. Like if you went from the normal like 22 pages to 35, that's about the right price.
Yeah, I want to put a letters page. I was asking a couple of my friends who read the scripts if they would write letters. I'm like I said, couple of ads. Not don't worry, it's not ads for like Nike or anything like that. You'll get it. Like old, you're gonna recognize it. Like like I don't want to
X-ray glasses and
I don't want to ruin the joke, but you'll get it. And then I want to do like in the middle of the comic that said like you remember when you got like the blueprints of the Baxter Building. Or a map of Manhattan, and where Spider-Man lives and Doctor Strange is saying. So I want to make a map of the city is called Science City. The premise of the comic is it's set in Science City, and Science City was the marvel of the modern world. Like it's eco-friendly and it's all this, and it's right outside of Yuma, Arizona. Because I read someplace that you could build like a solar panel farm in Arizona that would gather enough power to feed the United States. I don't know if that's true or not, but I was like, that would be cool to make like a city out there. Because I've been through the deserts of Yuma, Arizona. There's nobody there. So it's just so like, what if they just built the city and every skyscraper with solar panels and they would put up like lamp posts with solar panel, and I was like, they have the moving sidewalks, and so I was like, that's where superheroes would live, and then so the city came first. So every issue is going to feature a different superhero of Science City, and then the team will be formed, and then after the team is going to form, I'm going to go back and revisit some of the other characters. But I also want to do like the 22-page story and then the backup, because I have a feeling people are going to really like the patriarch, and I don't want them to feel gypped when they get issue 2 and it's not the patriarch. So I was thinking of maybe the backups doing like a villain, but then the villain will be facing the patriarch. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
And then
so then in this one, is it the main story is the patriarch, and then the backup story will also feature the patriarch?
No, the main story is called Daddy's Home. It's the patriarch. He's a father, superhero, husband, and it's him. He just wants to go home. He wants to go home to his kids. He's like it. This is his job. His superhero life is his job, and he's just trying to get home, and all these things are preventing him from getting home. So when he finally gets home, Daddy's home, and then you see that back cover where he's holding his babies and everything like that. That's his reward for being a superhero. He wants to get home, and comic book craziness happens on the way home. The backup story is there's every comic book character has the evil politician, the evil businessman, the evil religious leader. I do have the evil general, but he's not going to be showing up for a while. So I have all those staples. So this is introducing the evil politician, because all politicians are evil. So this is his origin. So by the time Heroic Tales comes out, it's set in real time. So it's 2024.
Oh, okay.
But this will be 1999 when Lucius Kane is a youngin. So this is him, young, idealistic, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. He's getting a job in the mayor's office at Detroit. So he's a good guy at this point. And then by the time 2024 he's the most corrupt, piece of crap politician you've ever seen, you know. So and then the guy who actually built Science City, Philip Manning, he's the Lex Luthor. He's the corrupt industrialist. He's the evil capitalist
Oh.
in all comic books. So the evil mayor teamed up with the evil and they now you get me to geek out on my city. But the whole concept of the city is there was an architect, Ian Strange, Ian Strange, who was a play of the H.P. Lovecraft Strange Eons. You know, Death May Die. You know, so Ian Strange is this bizarre person. They don't realize he's a magician, and he's using magic and architecture to create cities that will generate peace and unity and all of the stuff that all these utopians think. But so he gets it. Nobody will fund him. Philip Manning takes these plans. Oh, you know, if we connect on the Lee lines and, you know, the solar spots of this equator, and we start to break ground on this particular day of the year, we will create this. So the whole blueprint of the city is actually a sigil for a magic spell. But the industrialist didn't do it right. He scrimped. He saved. He did this. There was supposed to be a spire in the middle of the city that focused, like you see the Vatican. They have that, like the laurel wreaths, and they have the spire. That's channeling all the magic energy. If you listen to the conspiracy people, that's what the city was supposed to do. It's two ovals with the spire in the city. The female and the male aspects makes this spell. But instead of the spire, he put a statue of himself, like a replica of the Colossus of Rhodes. So you'll see that ever present in the background of the comic. And so all the energy is getting collected and dispersed, and the frequencies are changing. So people are going crazy. So now people are putting on costumes and becoming supervillains. You know, like there's a guy, Boss Moxie. He's now a 30s gangster guy. Come on, see, I'm gonna rob the bank. Why? Because the city itself is causing the craziness. But who's gonna believe Ian Strange, who doesn't even live in this time? He's a magician. He travels where he needs to be, you know. So when he comes back to check on the progress of the city, he's gonna be pretty miffed, you know, to find out that it's a nightmare.
So, you know, you've mentioned a lot of different sort of classic comic tropes,
Yeah.
and you're trying to give it a classic comic feel. What is it about that sort of old timey feel that sort of hits you in the sweet spot?
Well, let's be realistic. You know, I was a kid in the 80s when I was reading all these wonderful comics, you know, so that's gonna play a big part of it. You know what I mean? We all love the music that we listened to when we were teenagers. We love the comic books. We love the movies. You know, everybody loves their first girlfriend, your first car. So all of these comics that came out but also they were great. The Jim Shooter era, you know,
Yeah.
Phoenix, you know, the great darkness side of the Legion of Superheroes, the first 50 or so issues of New Teen Titans, the John Byrne Fantastic Four. These were great comics, and it was hopeful. And the superheroes were good guys. They were unquestionably the good guys. They had moments of doubt, because without flaws, then whatever, that they're not interesting. But they're not the Homelander. They're not jerks. You know, they're not evil. They're not pretending. Like I keep saying, the patriarch is a husband and a father. He's a dedicated husband. He's not playing around. And that's another trope that I'm playing with. If you ever read The Spirit or the early Captain Marvels, you know, Billy Batson, Shazam, the girls always threw themselves at the hero, and the hero was like, and it was always a little weird to me that the Spirit was running away from Ellen Dolan and Sans Serif and then going to hang out with the 10-year-old boy. But so I have a reason for that. So the girl villains are always throwing themselves at the patriarch because he's this, you know, distinguished man with the beard. No, it is not my self-insert. I will tell you right now, you'll meet my self-insert in issue 3, Augie Carmichael. That's my self-insert. The patriarch just happened. He's actually my father's insert. You know, my dad had 7 kids. But anyway, the women are throwing themselves at him, but he's happily married. So he's like, thank you, but I'm spoken for. But it's complicated because I can't get, well, I don't want to get into it, but he just says no. And he doesn't say I'm happily married, because in a later issue, you're going to find out that his family was threatened. And you know what I mean? So the family hides, you know, it's superhero, all the superhero trope. Well, come after your family. Like, how many times did Aunt May get thrown off a building? You know
Yeah.
He's got infants that he has to take care of. So, you know, so when the women throw themselves, he's like, no, you know, and then like,
So does
Got
the
me geeking out. I'm sorry.
no, does the patriarch like being a superhero?
Yes, he likes it. He is a good guy. He was a good guy before he got his powers. He was an EMT. The first issue, I'm not doing his origin.
Mhm.
I started writing the script for the first issue, and my main feedback was this is too much world building, not enough character. And I was all excited about that, and then I realized they were right. Like, who cares about the world if you don't like the people in it? When it comes to living.
Yeah.
So I purposely toned everything down. Like it's getting your toes wet. I'm already anticipating the biggest criticism for my comic was going to be, oh, it was small stakes. Yes, because if you come out with Galactus, where do you go from there? Yeah, Augie Carmichael. You're closer than you think, Nick. Nick knows nothing about Augie Carmichael, but Nick is wonderfully what's the word? Prescient. Yeah. So when you remember that comment in when I get to issue 3, well, you won't even realize what his superpower is in issue 3. You'll what I think around issue 6 you'll actually see what his superpower is. And Nick, you're closer than you think. Nick Augie Carmichael's a big fat slob, so yes.
Hmm.
But
Um,
I distracted myself, but
it's all right. So I was going to ask, you've got a lot of emphasis on like classic comics and whatnot. How do you sort of get younger people interested in something like this where it's not something they've had before? Like
right.
they've had Hellfire Gala and Thruples and morally questionable heroes for a
But
long
kids
time.
aren't reading those.
Yeah, they're reading manga.
Those are for 35 and up. Name a kid that's been reading the X-Men comics. My comic is all ages. And when I say all ages, the first thing people go is, oh, it's kiddie comic. No, it's not. All ages is Star Wars is all ages. The Chronicles of
Yep.
Narnia was all ages. Lord of the Rings was all ages. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I already said that. It was Wizard of Oz is all ages. Harry Potter. Harry Potter is all ages, but it starts out young and then it gets more mature as it goes along, which I thought was brilliant. It aged up with the readers. It was brilliant. So that's what I want to do. It's all ages. Now, I don't know your age. I assume you're younger than me. Everybody is, but you're going to like this. But if you have kids, do you have kids?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Why? Who have you been talking to, John?
Well, Nick X, who's wonderfully prescient, told me a thing or two. No,
okay,
but
all right.
You could share this comic with kids. Now, like I said, the first issue is getting your feet wet into my universe. The second issue is I come out swinging, and then the third issue is going to be almost a full-on horror comic. It's going to show you like my interpretation of why I don't like these deconstructed nasty superheroes. It like there's going to be a street level dark Avenger kind of hero who you as a citizen of he does live in Science City, but if he lives in New York, if in New York you're scared of him, even if you're the good guy, even if you're walking down the street, and that's no way to be a superhero. So that's what I want to. And then after that, I got some. I can't wait to tell some of these stories. I think I can write horror. I'm gonna write like some sad stories of superheroes, but I'm trying my best to make a humorous issue. And I got to say, humor is the hardest thing to write. So I got a humor script, and I haven't shown it to anybody because it's excruciating. When a joke doesn't work. Yeah, Marcus says he's. But so where was I go? So I started out, I built my world through a role-playing game. I play a game called Villains and Vigilantes. I think we talked about this before. It's a superhero role-playing game, came out in 1982, and I've been playing that since 1982 with the same people. Matter of fact, I'll give a shout out on Kickstarter right now. There's a comic, Thunder Zone Comics, one of which is called Marshall Strong. That's my friend Mike. He wrote inside the comic, he goes, don't tell John, but this is really his comic because his character was Marshall Strong in a story that I made up. And he loved that story so much, he wrote it down as a comic book script and made a comic book. So I'm
cool.
That's my first comic is coming out, and I didn't even write it. And Marshall Strong is a character in my. He's like the Nick Fury Captain America amalgamation in my world. So it just I just think so. I wanted to give him a shout out. So there is, it's not the same universe because we didn't check the script, so it's not going to jive, but it's just fun. It's fun to do. The shout outs to other creators that I really like. If you're a fan of Horace H. Hoover, you'll like my comic. You'll be surprised. If you like Wolf and Batsy, you'll be surprised. That's all I want to say. So there's some fun. It's not a shared universe, but there's some nods to other people who've been instrumental in helping me get this comic book to crowdfunding.
Nice. So we see the Patriarch's kids reading Wolf and Batsy.
You're very close. Jeez, I think I'm being like wonderfully obtuse, but everybody seems to be reading through. Wolf and Batsy and Horace H. Hoover are like cartoons in the world, so they actually have action figures they're playing with.
Very cool. Oh yeah, and we can get those Horace H. Hoover's not action figures, but he's got the statues for sale. I think
he makes resin statues. Yeah, that's another thing I would love to do in the future. Is hire Fabrizio. Lots of writing on this. I have a variant cover for Fun My Comic by Pat Broderick, who when I first got into comics back in like 1974, Pat Broderick was drawing the original, well, not the original, the Marvel Captain Marvel.
Oh,
and God, did I love those comics. That's Pat Broderick right there. Did that cover. That's Renzo, but that's Pat Broderick right there. And I love, he was the first comic book artist that I became obsessed with. So I was like, my first comic, I got to get my first favorite. He was working with Mike Barron, and I had Mike Barron on my channel a few times. So I asked Mike Barron, and he talked to Pat. Pat, said, sure, I'd love to. He was such a great guy to talk to, and I'm like, directed Pat Broderick. I was like, I can't do whatever you want. Who am I to tell you what to draw? And look at that. That is just awesome.
That's cool.
And then I'm going to do exclusively on Fun My Comics for 2 months. And then I'm going to do Kickstarter. And I have another variant cover by Michael T. Gilbert, another artist that I absolutely love. I'm not showing that image yet. I kind of want to wait to build up the surprise. But Michael T. Gilbert does the Mr. Monster series that came out from like Pacific Comics, EC Comics, and then shows up every once in a while in different companies. I love Mr. Monster, and he was such a pleasure. And he just said, "Can I do this?" And I'm like, "That's a funny cover." Yeah, go ahead, do it. So he has like a more humorous cover. And then the third cover, I want to, when I go to Indiegogo, another 2 months from there, I don't know yet. I'm talking with a few people, and artists are like cats to herd. They don't respond. Yeah. So at this point, out of the 6 people that I've been contacted, whoever responds back the first is going to get them. But they're all top quality guys, so it's not like I'll be disappointed. So
yeah, I want to have, for sure.
I want to have 3 different campaigns, but 3 reasons to go to these different campaigns. So there'll be 4 covers altogether. The Renzo one is the A cover, and then a variant just for exclusive to each campaign. Because you got to make them different if you go to different platforms.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Marcus says Andy Smith would do a great Patriarch. Yes, he would. I have an idea for. It's funny because I think like, oh yeah, I know these guys like they do. I have one of the issues is set in 1999. It's going to deal with Y2K was real in the superhero world, and I'm like, I want to get a. So I'm like, Andy Smith would be like in my mind, he already said yes. Like, you know what I mean? Like that'll be Andy Smith. So like I'm how arrogant is that to think that he's going to say yes to a project that is probably years away? Like, so yes, Marcus, I did think of Andy Smith. He would be perfect, but like arrogant me is thinking that he'd be, oh yeah, sure. I'd love to do this, story later on. Like, and I want him to do it like the Image style, the old 90s style.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I have a kaiju issue coming up. And
nice.
Frankie Washington, who loves kaijus.
Frankie and kaiju go together like peanut butter and jelly.
It would almost be a sin not to have Frankie somehow involved in a kaiju
Yeah,
issue.
right.
I mean,
You need like a special fold out poster that
right.
comes
And
with.
again, how arrogant! I didn't even ask it yet, and I'm already talking about it like it's going to happen.
I don't know if it's kaiju involved. Like,
Yeah. Well, I tweeted at him. I don't know if he saw it yet. Yeah, so
he's a good guy. I had him on
oh,
the
he's a
channel
great
once.
guy.
He was
He's
quite
such.
fun to talk to.
He's fun to talk to. He talks more than me. You just say hello to him, and next thing you know, it's like, good night, everybody. You know, and he's so energetic and he's happy. You know, and he knows his comics. Oh my God, you know, he knows his comics.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because he's really got a whole handle on the whole like
The
manga
business,
and anime from like back in the 70s, where
right?
you don't see a whole lot of Americans who know much about that. But he'll be like, "Hey, hang on, let me get a chalkboard and diagram this out for you." And
And not only that, and then he starts to because he's been working in marketing,
yeah,
so he just went on not a tangent, but he just was like, okay, and he started explaining things in business, and I was just like, I never thought of any of this. You know, I'm in the construction trade, so I don't think about like I think about his marketing as much as a guy who's in the construction trade. So he was
yeah.
explaining like the advertisement rates and how to do this and why this came out and you know why they happened, and you know, and it was so interesting. I really enjoy that when I talk to somebody who schools me on something that I don't know. You know, I had Chuck Dixon on, and he was talking about Dell Comics, a whole like Dell Comics was the biggest comic book company in the world, and know nothing. I know nothing about it today. You know,
I know next to nothing. I know
right?
that they went under earlier
Yeah, they
than some
went
of
from
the
like
others.
printing literally millions of copies a month to going out of business. I bought a book. I have it right here. It's the history of Dell Comics. I gotta actually read it. You know, buying the book is not the thing. It's the reading it. It's called Funny Books.
Okay.
So Chuck Dixon recommended it, so I got to pick that up. Every time my wife's like, "Are you doing a live chat tonight? That's going to cost you $20." Because every time I have a live chat with somebody, I'm either funding their comic or buying something that they recommend. What do you got for me? What do you
Well,
buy? Hold still. There's
no,
more.
yeah. Not yet, not yet. Give me another. Ugh, having website troubles. Otherwise, I'd have my thing up. But
Are you planning on a comic and are you making?
comic is going to be a year or two down the line. I am
Well, I'll help
gonna.
you promote. I'll help
Oh,
you.
thanks. I've got my D&D campaign guide.
Oh,
I
that's right. You were
plan on
telling me
funding in October.
yes, that is exciting. Oh, and since you brought that up, if you put up my campaign again, we'll scroll down to the bottom. So you know, he's the rewards. You can get the comic. You can get 3 comics. You can get the pint glass. Just Nick designed this page. Look at how beautiful it is. Scroll down. I'm pointing like you could see my hand, but I just love this. I wanted to put a couple of interior pages to show people that I'm not just getting Renzo to do the covers and then hiring Phil Moskowitz, you know, El Cheapo to fill. I hate that bait and switch. I want you to see that the art and the colors inside are just as good as the colors outside. You know, I'm not joking, guys. This is $10 for this comic book is awesome. You're getting the best work by people today. Keep scrolling down. I wanted to show you. You can see that's the statue in the background. I was like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? He's this. The industrialist is this monstrous presence, and that's Boss Moxie. You know, he's been affected by the energies of the town, and you
I
don't
like
know
his
that.
dames.
Yeah, those are he's got dames, gams, and mal. Those are his 3 chicks.
Nice.
You know, and of course, like this one is like she's squeeing when he shows up. She's like, "Oh, look, Daddy's here!" You know, and he kisses her lips. He's all charming. You know, he's a flirt, but he's loyal. You know, and then scroll up more.
Up.
Here's more pages.
Oh, down. No, it's sorry.
Oh, scroll down more. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you have sharp eyes, yeah, keep going, keep going. If you have sharp eyes, you can see Wolf and Batsy.
Oh yeah.
Batsy, he's got a wolf. And then I wanted this panel to show you that he's not a Superman ripoff. You know, he was a fanboy of comics, so he read a comic that was legally distinct from Superman, And so he's dressing up like Superman. He's acting like Superman. He's vastly less powerful than Superman, and his powers are vastly different than Superman. But he's smart enough, and there's people that he has like handlers too that don't make it to the first issue, but he smart enough and wise enough to know, like, I got to be friendly. It's just think about how scary it is to have superpowers if you are a nasty. So he tries to, like, he got a costume that tested well as friendly, because he wants to be like, when Superman shows up, you go, oh wow, Superman's here. So that's the way he's doing it, even though he has a telekinetic powers. I didn't want to tell that, but he has telekinetic. He has mental powers.
Okay.
Yes,
Yep.
he's not physically stronger than anybody else. So if you could sneak up to him and punch him,
Oh.
you're gonna knock him out. And that's actually one of the things in this comic, is one of the guys is figuring out. He's like, you're a fraud. You're not as powerful as you pretend to be. So I'm setting up the return of the main villain.
So does he have a secret ID, or do people
No,
know who he is?
I didn't do his origin. I didn't, because I didn't think people would understand the gravitas of everything if they didn't like the character. So I figured, like Doctor Strange, the first issue was just an adventure of Doctor Strange. And then later on, when they did the origin, you're like, oh, okay, I'm invested in this character now. Same with Doctor Doom, like all my. So I just like, all right, he's in the world. And then his second appearance is going to be the team up with the Dark Street Avengers. So it's going to be like a Superman Batman team up. And then his third appearance is actually going to be his origin. And he was an EMT. He was always a good guy, maybe a little naive, and he rescues. Well, he saves a mad scientist, and the mad scientist is the one that says, "Hold this, hide this thing." He shows up. I'm telling too much, but his origin is he showed up because he's an EMT to a person who was shot in the street.
Oh,
He shows up. There's an old wizened man with the wizard beard, and he revises him, and the guy, he hands him something, because they killed me for this. You got to hide this. You got to hide this. So he just takes it and and whatever. And then he goes into and his partner is not a good guy. His partner's been robbing the wallets of all the patients. They're unconscious, they're dying. So he goes to get this, whatever it is. I don't want to spoil it. And he's like, did you take it? What are you accusing me of? Next thing you know, over the course of the days, they're like, where is it? And they find out he has been stealing stuff, and they start fighting. Or the other guy attacks the patriarch, and they start fighting, and then their powers manifest. And that's how it happens in public, in a hospital. So he has no ID. You know what I mean? And his power, like, he has the telekinetic. So the other guy tries to hit him. He goes like this to defend himself, and he's making telekinetic shields. Because he's not a fighter. He was a healer. He was a sweet, naive guy who trusted his partner and everything. So he actually has to learn how to take defensive powers and make them offensive. Again, I'm telling too much. You got me monologuing there, Yang. Again, you're doing it again.
it's all right. So I wanted to ask you about this. So in your stretch goals,
this is what I was hoping you'd go. When you mentioned your D&D campaign, these are stretch goal cards. I mean, it's no secret they're going to be characters: the patriarch, Boss Moxie, the three girls, and then the main bad guy, who I don't want to spoil yet. You keep seeing the robot spiders and stuff like that, so I'll keep that. So for every $1,000 that we hit, I'm going to unlock a card. And Renzo already drew the art. Daniel's doing the color as we speak. And then on the back, I'm sending Nick X. I joke around, like, he didn't give himself a credit in this. And I keep saying, what credit would you like? He's like, eh. So I was joking around saying, you're the turd polisher. He took my bed, because my campaign got rejected the first time I sent it to, because I didn't know what I was doing. It's me. And he cleaned it up and made it this beautiful, beautiful campaign page. So I joke around. So he's going to do the graphic design, and it's going to have their stats, the patriarch's intelligence, his charisma, his strength, and then what exactly his powers are. So
yeah. So my question was, since you're a big gamer yourself, are these going to be part of a game? These collector's cards?
Originally, the intent was that they were going to be usable in the Villains and Vigilantes system.
Oh,
that's owned by Fantasy Games Unlimited. They have not responded. I got phone numbers. I called little old lady who had no idea what I was talking about, answered. So I got wrong information. So I I can't say it. So it's legally distinct from Villains and Vigilantes. Their stats
Okay,
are from
but
1 to 20. It's not 3 to 18. So it's a different system.
you know they can't copyright their rules, right?
I know, but even like a hint of a lawyer will cause my house of cards to crumble. You know.
Okay.
Oh, Mac has a question. Hey, John, how do you get the collector cards? They're not in the offered bundle. You get them. You get them. If my crowdfunding makes $3,000, you're gonna get one card. If it makes 4,000, you don't have to do anything. That's what a stretch goal is. The more money that I make, well, first off, it's going to fund the next issue because I laid out all the money for the first issue. So this will make the second issue, and then I could throw in extra stuff. You know what I mean? So I could throw in cards. Maybe I'm getting arrogant and thinking I'll make $8,000, but I'd rather shoot for the moon and not make it than it's a hit, and I'm scrambling to reward everybody for being enthusiastic and nice enough to back my comic. So I'd rather err on the side of sunshine and happiness. You know what I mean? If you look at it like that. So who is that, Mac? You don't have to do anything. Actually, you can do something. Tell your friends to back, because the more people back, you'll get all 6 cards, and you'll get a metal coin. So
very cool.
And originally, the 8-page backup was going to be a stretch goal, but so I Ron and Daniel colored the first 2 pages. I said, just do it. I'm so excited. And again, I think it really is good. You guys see this artwork, you guys see this coloring. It's like, right now it's like 30 pages. It'll be more depending upon if my coordinating artists get the other stuff back in time. It's going to be one of the best $10 comics you'll ever get, if not the best. So I don't know what. So just spread the word, and you'll get all the cards.
So I did have a question about the cards. So is this are the stretch goals only available for people who back on Fund My Comic, or when you do your subsequent campaign on Kickstarter, will it be there as well?
It'll be there as well. It'll be there as well. The cards will be on all of them. The only difference is right now, unless I have a brilliant idea, which doesn't happen, the only difference is going to be the variant cover. The Pat Broderick you got to get on Fund My Comic. So if you're a fan of Pat Broderick, or you just think that cover is awesome, and it is awesome, you go Fund My Comic. When I go to Kickstarter, and I'm not talking out of tails out of school. Luke already knows. I'm going to go exclusively for 2 months. Exclusively to 2 months, because I don't want to compete against myself on multiple platforms.
Right.
But here's a little secret: we'll go in demand on Fund My Comic, so you'll be able to get the Pat Broderick cover for a long time. Then when we go to Kickstarter, there'll be exclusively the Michael T. Gilbert cover. And then when I go to Indiegogo, again, the 6 artists that I'm talking to, whoever confirms the first will be that. And then, if it's a big hit, I'll make my own store, and then you'll probably be able to get whatever cover you want if all goes well. I'm a terrible salesman, guys. I'm sorry. I'm an enthusiastic comic book fan, businessman. If I was a businessman, I wouldn't have went into construction.
It's no worries.
Right now, I have the bright glasses available, with the Heroic Tales logo on one side, and then the Patriarch symbol on the other. The glare from the light is killing it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And that's something I want to do, is every character is going to have a cool logo, so I'm really proud of issue 2. Oh, that's another thing. We're going to have a preview page of issue 2, because I don't want people to be surprised and upset and call shenanigans. You're going to see issue 2. Mary Sue is the name of that character. And Mary Sue is a spoof on Mary Sue. She's perfect. She's perfect in every way. And she's a superhero, and but the goof is I'm subverting expectations in the fact that Mary Sue does struggle with everything. Just imagine you're gifted with the powers to basically do whatever you want, but you don't know you have that power. And then once you figure out you have that power, you don't want to use it, because it's the butterfly effect. If I change reality to do this, something else that I didn't foresee happens.
Sure.
So the first time she uses her powers, she's like, I think I just made things worse. Like, I got the result I wanted, but and she's a good person. Does she really want other people to suffer? So her life so I'm excited about. She was going to be issue number 1, but they needed to be too much invested in the world. So the Patriarch is a fun, interesting, first issue kind of character.
So I remember we were talking before, and you mentioned there were at least 3 characters that you were going to sort of like cycle in. Like one issue on the Patriarch, second on Mary Sue. Was it 3 or 5?
And the third issue is going to be the Raven. He's
okay.
He's an undercover cop who goes in with the crime, and just like Donnie Brasco, he can't leave. So he's calling his wife, and she's like, "It's too late. I already left the house." So he lost everything. So so this is, and now he's just like, "Well, I lost my wife. I lost my family. And I got nothing to lose now." So now he's just taking it out on the villains. Like he's again, he was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. He arrested a guy because he's really a cop, and then he sees the guy goes free. So now he dresses up as the Raven, and he beats the guy up, brings him to the jail, and he goes free. The guy's like, "Yeah, some maniac in a bird suit beat me up. I was just walking down the street." So now he's like, "Whatever I do doesn't matter." So he breaks their arms. He doesn't even try to he'll curb stomp you. He'll just break your lip. So he is the Punisher, but like the other superheroes are like, "You got to knock this off. You can't do this. You're not a superhero." So he doesn't kill, but if he did kill, he wouldn't feel bad about it. So he is my exploration into the anti-hero.
That's interesting.
So, like the Punisher, he lost his family, but they're still alive.
That's a very interesting take, especially for 2024.
Yeah, and then so that'll be kind of a dark issue. Then issue 4, I'm not telling you anything about, but it's kind of a lighthearted, not funny, but like more light, like maybe an homage to like the Silver Age.
Oh, cool.
And then so that's issue 4. Then issue 5 is going to be the Raven and the Patriarch team up, and you're going to learn a lot about both of their back stories. So it's the first time Superman and Batman get together, kind of thing, and you realize this Patriarch is the goodest of the good guys, and the Raven is this close to being a villain.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. They sound very, yin and yang, very opposite sides of the coin.
I'm a mythological guy, so Patriarch is Apollo, light, culture, and the Raven is Dionysus, mystery, darkness. Like self-indulgence. So that was the archetype. They were literally called Apollo and Dionysus when I first started creating all this stuff, and then I'm like, this is too esoteric.
Too old-timey. Yeah.
So I and then I keep in mind this was 15 years ago, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna make it edgy, and now I'm like, you know what? I want blue sky superheroes. I want it to be fun. You read it with your kids, but like I want you to read it with your kids, and your kids go like, "Dad, this guy's not really a good guy. He's kind of a bad guy." That's the Raven. He's out of his mind. He's a psycho. Yes, I do have a Western idea, and it's going to be set in the same world in the past. And I was thinking, maybe heroic Western tales. I'll call it one issue. Like that was going to be a one-off. With a completely different artist, because I want to have like somebody like Nick Axe. If you ever seen his art for Prom the Destroyer, like he would, but nobody wants to draw horses, so I'm having a hard time finding an artist who wants to draw. But I have a Western, and then I also have a superhero Western story, because there's going to be one character who has a story going from colonial times to modern times. There's always an immortal character. There's always a legacy character. So I'm not joking. I got like 20 issues planned, and then there's going to be the team. There's going to be like the heroes that started it all back before World War II, and then World War II. The guy who was the boxer, who taught all the other superheroes how to fight. I got a story for him. I don't want to reveal the names because that's so long in the future. Next thing you know, everybody else is going to have a character. Oh, that's a great name. Because I was on one of the panels with somebody, and he was like, "Isn't it hard to come up with superhero names?" I'm like, yeah, it is. That's why you got to work harder. Not to be mean, but a lot of guys are coming up with terrible names for superheroes, or worse. names that have nothing to do with superheroes. You know, like the superhero name is a focus for the character. Like if I didn't tell you anything about the patriarch,
Mhm.
I think you would know exactly what he is about, and like you wouldn't guess his powers because I kind of obfuscated his powers and then revealed everything in this talk. But you know, like I'm trying to think of one of my characters that whose names I can reveal. The Statesman. What is the Statesman?
Okay.
What is he like?
Well, I would guess he has like upper class, something to do with the government or secret society or something like that.
Oh, I was gonna say he's the patriotic Captain America guy. You know,
Oh, okay.
he's the statesman. He represents the states.
Yeah.
You know, he's patriot. You know, so the name has to focus. So I'm dying to reveal some of these names. So I've been role playing this superhero game for 40 years. I'm going to sound like what's his name, Mitt Romney. I have binders full of superheroes, all my role playing sheets, and I've been asking some of my friends, and they're excited for me to put their characters in as superheroes. Oh please, like my friend Mike's character, Marshall Strong. He's the Nick Fury guy. He's the superhero lies between the military, the government, and the superheroes. But I was reluctant to use because he made him up. He rolled those characters.
Mhm.
And he was like, no, you made him up more than me. You gave him his name. I changed his powers around. He goes, use it.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people like have said, "Oh, you shouldn't do things like that because it's too much inside baseball and people outside wouldn't understand it." But for me, it's great. Like, in the campaign guide I'm working on, one of my friends was in a test group, and his character started on this ship that he named the Salt Grinder. And I was like, "Damn, that's a much better name than what I would have come up with." All right, Salt Grinder, it is. You, there's
I
no
see
reason.
what Geeks Do Network says. How many issues are written out? 4 total full-on scripts, but I'm changing them because I wrote them years ago. You know what I mean? I already told Renzo the day we launch, if it's a successful launch, issue script for number 2 is coming. You know what I mean? Because he's not quite done with. He's about 75% done with the art, so there will not be a gap. We're going right into issue 2 if it's a successful launch, and then I'm rewriting all the scripts. I have outlines for about 15 issues. Just this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. And that can be changed. But full scripts, I have about 4 full scripts. And yeah,
Nice.
I people have been telling me I'm looking forward to this. I'm getting so nervous that I'm consulting like a script editor to make, you know what I mean? Because
Go good.
I had editors. I sent the script out to friends, but these were all guys who just like comic books. Oh, this is a fun comic book. And then one friend who didn't read comic books, and her advice was just totally worthless. You know what I mean? But because she doesn't get comic books. But
Yeah.
so now
You
I'm
know,
hiring a professional to go over everything, because I really don't want to disappoint anybody. Because the art is perfect, the coloring is outstanding, the product itself. Nick has helped me with the graphic design, everything. I'm the weak link. So if there's going to be any criticism, it's going to be me. So I'm not too proud to ask for help. If I didn't ask for help, this never would have gotten off the ground. So what Geeks Do Network? Yes, I'm taking this very seriously. You only get to make your first comic once in your life, and I do not want to make a mistake.
I do think that is one of the bigger issues in the indie comic scene is that people don't get an editor,
Yeah.
and it's, if you can, it's better to get an editor who has some art experience too, because one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of people who come like with literary backgrounds, like they've written short stories, they've written novels, and they'll bring an editor they're comfortable working with, but then because they're not used to working with art, they don't know how to
Oh,
um, you know
make no bones about the guy I'm hiring. I don't want to give names because he didn't give me permission to give names yet.
Sure,
but,
sure.
he's a comic book fan.
Nice.
So he knows. He knows, and I trust him implicitly. He's a good guy. I know he's gonna pull no punches, which I appreciate. But it's a good time to redo the script, because I sent Renzo all the pages, and him being a phenomenal artist, he added a panel here, removed a panel here, because you know what I mean.
Mhm.
and it still flows. The storytelling is really great. So I have to redo the script to match the new panel layout, which is
Okay.
perfectly. So I'm like, okay, at this is the perfect time. I'm gonna rewrite the script. You know, let's get a neutral professional observer to crush my dreams and cry.
So when you write, do you write everything out first, like including all the dialogue, or do you do what some people would say is the Marvel method in like you just write sort of the outline and like the panels, and then when you get it back, then you write the dialogue in?
I write an outline and then I throw it away, and then I write a different comic because that stunk. And then I come back to the first one that I realized wasn't that bad, and I rewrite the outline, and then I change. This is better, and then I wake up in the middle of the night going, "This is a better way to do it." Wake up and rewrite the out. You know what I mean? That's the way it. And then after about 10 rewrites of the outline, then I sit down and okay, page one, panel this, and and I try to think of the comp panel. How many panels does it take to tell this? You know, like the page reveal. Okay, he transforms into the werewolf. You don't see the werewolf here, then you turn the page, there's a werewolf. You know what I mean? Like I try to
Mhm.
do that, and then of course that throws my outline out the window again. But every stage you're fixing it, if that makes sense. So it's not finalized. Like right now, Renzo I think is at 17 out of 22 pages. I'm not redoing 10 pages because I have a better idea at this point. So now it's polishing up the dialogue and the captions, at this point. Like I'm not going to throw Godzilla in because I had a better idea because I already had. Oh, I'd do it different already. You're never done. At one
Mhm.
point, I'm not George Lucas either. I'm not going to erase it and make Guido shooting first. You know.
So you mentioned you have Renzo. He's doing the first one.
Correct.
Is he going to do all the other ones, or are you going to do like
If
one
Renzo doesn't
artist
want to be
per
my artist
character?
anymore, then I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
I'm
Oh,
spoiled. So we had a talk, and he was politely asking me like, should I get other jobs? And I said, do whatever you want, but I want you. Like I'm not the tyrant. I'm not. But I said, so I'm sending you. I sent him a couple of pages of issue 2 already that I know I'm not changing because the opening
mhm.
is the opening is the opening. So he's already going right into issue 2 because I'm afraid to lose him. He's that good. Other people have already looked at the pen. Oh wow, can I hire Red? Yeah, sure you can. I'm not I'm not the tyrant, but I don't want to. And I think we have a really great working relationship. We talk on the phone. He's coming on my channel. We're gonna have you know, I would like to have all the guys that work in a
Oh,
big panel
nice.
talk about the comic. If I raise enough money, crowdfunding, I'm flying them to New York. We'll go to a comic convention and show them around New York City and get them good pizza and stuff. We'll I love the guy. I call him the Saint. Saint Renzo, and he gets shy. He doesn't take a compliment too well, but I think I think the world of him. He's a great guy. Everybody on my team is so good. Nick
Where's he
says,
from?
I'm a tyrant. I haven't been allowed to leave by yeah, well, if you just do it right when I tell you to do it right and stop sleeping and eating and talking to your wife, you'd be able to leave your desk. It's his own fault.
Nick.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. If you're
So
nice, I'll let you have 2% more light in the basement. Okay, Nick? You want to play hardball?
Um, so, all right. So you mentioned you've got 4 written. How many do you think you're going to come out with, or ideally, how many would you like to start coming out with per year?
That's just it. What is realistic? The the first one was a big learning curve. I didn't know what I'm doing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I'll admit that to everybody. For a guy who didn't know what the hell they were doing, this comic is so freaking good looking. I'm so excited. Now I got a great team. I knew, we could go right into issue 2. I think without a hitch. So really the realistic thing is Renzo. I don't want to kill the guy. Does he want to keep drawing? Does he want to take another project? Is he, how is he tired? Does he want to take a vacation? So I don't know. I would like to do 2, 3 a year. I think that would be realistic, but I also don't want to do 2 or 3 bad a year. but I
Yeah.
also don't want it to be 5 years in between comics either. So, I'm a newbie. I put like a 6 month delivery date on this. I think I'll be earlier. I'd rather err on the side of, wow, John, the Scotty from Star Trek. Oh, I need 6 hours, and then we're finished in 2 hours. You know what I mean? And everybody thinks I'm a miracle worker. So I'm hoping that by the time the third campaign is done, we could be ready to do the second campaign. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm going to do Fund My Comic, Kickstarter, Indiegogo. By the time Indiegogo is done, we could probably launch issue 2 on Fund My Comic. That's
Okay, nice.
That's kind of my goal, so that maybe I'll constantly have, something going. That's the goal. Who knows? If Nick just stops goofing around and talking to his wife, and
Jeez, Nick,
shopping and stuff like that. Yeah.
come on, man.
And Shadowpunk says the artwork is incredible. Yeah, Renzo is so good. And Shadowpunk, your art is so good too. I don't know if you've seen his comic, Shadow.
No.
I felt bad because I missed it, and he sent me a copy, and
Oh.
he made a fan for life. I can't stop raving about this. So there you go.
Very
He has
cool.
a comic called Shadowpunk, and if Shadowpunk, if you email or Twitter at Marcus, he'll put a link in the description.
So
always help your buddies. That's one of the things I firmly believe in. Promote when you're ready to promote. We got to promote. It's about comics. It's not about personalities.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the indie business,
Right.
where like the redheaded stepchild of the redheaded stepchild industry, because nobody takes comics serious anyways.
Of the redheaded stepchild. Yeah. Yeah. I see a lot of feuding in the mainstream and jelly petting. If your campaign makes $500,000, that doesn't hurt me. In fact, it makes it nicer because we're friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if my campaign, let's be blue sky, shoot the moon. My campaign does phenomenal, and then I could talk about guys like Shadowpunk or Nick is doing the art for Crom the Destroyer. Renzo, who was one of the first piece. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. RJ from the Fourth Age was one of the first people to reach out and talk to me in the YouTube thing. If my comic does phenomenally well, why wouldn't I help RJ? You know what I mean? He's been nothing but nice to me. He's a great guy. He puts out great comics. So I don't understand this jealousy and fighting. That guy's doing better than me, whatever.
Yeah. Plus, you want to talk to everyone because there's all sorts of different genres. And like maybe there's someone who's not interested in superheroes, right? You say, oh, well, this guy over here.
Don't like superheroes, yes.
Yeah, then just point him in the right direction. Hey, well, this guy's doing horror books or this guy's doing sci-fi, and they'll do the same thing. If I'm doing a horror book and someone's like, oh, I don't know, horror, like, oh, well, if you like classic superheroes, go check out Heroic Tales.
And since you brought up horror, Brian Bao is in the chat. He does a great comic, Wolf and Batsy. It's like classic horror film, Hammer films. A werewolf and a bat, or a werewolf and a vampire are best friends looking for a place to live. And just when you think it's going this way, Brian does that, and now I don't know what to do. I'm like thrilled. What I'm talking about is I predicted it was going to do this, and he totally beat my prediction. I play a game whenever I read a comic. I tried to outguess the writer. Brian beat me, so Tonic Mold beat me. I don't know where Tonic Mold is going in a wonderful way. So I enjoy that.
Nice. Yeah, I've got several of the first Wolf and Batsy issues. Checking out his campaign now.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He's been helping me every step of the way. He just got trading cards for his campaign, and he was like, I'm going to release them like one card for every time, and boom, in the first day he released all the cards because his campaign did so well. So
nice.
So he's gave me the information on how to get the cards made, who to talk to. Like I said, we all help each other. We all help each other.
That's the way it's got to be.
Nick Axe is asking for fantasy. I don't have any fantasy comic. I take it back. I have a mythological grand epic that I would like to do, but it will have nothing to do with Heroic Tales, and in my dreams, if I'm successful, this is going to be like one of those European oversized hardcover editions, like 100
Oh,
pages.
nice.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to say anything because I know somebody will steal that idea in a heartbeat. I think Brian and Nick are the only two people who know that idea.
Very cool.
So I got a
So
lot of ideas. I've wanted to do this my whole life, but it's impossible to break into comics. And then they just got
yeah,
harder and harder. It's always been who you know, but it was who you know normal. Now it's who do you know that you fit these identity politics check boxes. Let's face it, I don't check any identity politics check boxes. So and then
yeah.
I saw Richard C. Meyer over at Diversity in Comics. He made a comic on his own. He got a super talented artist right off the X-Men. And then I saw other people doing it, and I'm like, I could do this. And I started doing it. And then when I started flailing about, other people threw me life preservers and helped me out, and I will forever be grateful to that.
Well, that's the way you got to do it. Although even in the old days, people would self-fund or self-publish a comic or two, just sort of like as proof of concept before they go to the big two. So it seems like that's the way everybody needs to start. Anyways, you need to prove that you can actually get something done.
And you know what? The crowd, as much as we just like, oh, crowdfunding, yeah, we all know. The guys at work, when I explain what it is, they are baffled. Like they have no concept of I'm from a large family. My own brothers and sisters are like, well, what is crowdfunding? What does this mean? Like, I'm paying for your comic book, but and because I have my friend that was the editor, she's a PhD psychologist. I was like, oh, it's happening, and I sent her the link, and she's like, what happens? You need $1,000. Are you asking me for because the goal was $1,000. So she thinks I'm asking her for $1,000. I'm like, no. If I don't raise $1,000, the comic book doesn't get me. But then I pay for the comic book and it doesn't get me. You know what I mean? Like it is a bizarre. Yeah. So I said, well, tonight I got a lot of live chats. So tomorrow I'm actually writing an email because all my friends and family are all on this email. I got to explain what crowdfunding is to people, and I got business cards made up with the QR code. Tonic Mole made it for me again. Everybody's been so helpful. So I'm going to give it to the guys at work, and all they got to do is use their phone, and it'll take to the Fund My Comic website so they could pledge. Because if I tell them it's on Fund My Comic, look for hotels, okay, and then they're going to go home. They're not going to. But
never going to happen.
I can't give them the card until the campaign's active because they're going to scan it and say it doesn't work.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because construction workers think very literally. You know what I mean? We
yeah.
So if they scan it doesn't work, okay, there's a problem. They move on. But so I'm gonna wait till the 26th of April. Give everybody I know a card. Hand them out.
So
QR code.
This leads me into another question. I was wondering. Sure. Sort of where do you plan on going? Outside of like this very narrow slice of crowdfunding in the future. So you got to start somewhere, right? And you got to get some money to pay for the comics. So crowdfunding makes sense. But overall, the amount of people who read comics and are looking for indie comics on crowdfunding sites is just a very small slice of the pie. Are you thinking in the future maybe some sort of digital distribution, or are you thinking about
here if you could get the comic digitally, which I was against because I'm an old fart and I like to have a comic book in my hand. So and other people like, well, I live in Germany. I don't want to get your comic in it,
Yeah.
So I to be a smart businessman, I have to offer a digital tier. I had RJ from Critical Blast on my channel. He does a fulfillment service. Again, this is me not knowing anything to finding out that there's such things as fulfillment services. For those of you who don't know, a fulfillment service, if I have a crowdfunding, I'll get the proof of concepts. I'll get, I'll okay the prints of the comic and everything's fine. I'll get the bulk of it, the main thing just shipped right to him. It doesn't even come to my house. It'll go to RJ and then he'll distribute everything, and in a week everything will be done by a professional, provided it's successful. I told him if it's 99 comics or less, I'll do it. If it's 101 comics or more, you'll do it, because I'm afraid of messing it up. So now he was telling me that once you have a successful campaign down and you're getting into a routine, and because he has ways to get into comic book stores. He has, trade paperbacks and hardcovers. So there's a lot of options for the future. And I'm always thinking about that. I have grand ideas, and then my wife is like, I bounce things off of her, and she's more realistic than me. I'm a dreamer, but I always tell my wife, don't worry about it until it's time to worry, because my wife doesn't worry about things. And I also say, don't get excited about this until it's time to get excited. So I'm taking my own advice. Right now, a lot is mattering on the 26th of April, the launch date. You know what I mean? I think I'll have a lot more information to. I'm being optimistic, and I already proceeded to do the backup story, which was a stretch goal, and I'm already making the cards, all 6 of them, hoping that I hit. If I don't make it, I don't know what I'm going to do. I shouldn't have said that, but I talk too much, and I'm already starting issue number 2.
Nice.
If it's so. Maybe in 6 months from now, we'll start talking about like, okay, can we get this at the comic book store? Because look at those covers. That would look great in a comic book store. That would catch your eye.
I think comic book stores are going to be easier once you have a certain volume of issues too, because like even in the that Mark Millar interview where he had 4 comic book stores on there, they're like, yeah, we don't want to have indies. But I think you could. But if it's like, if you think about it from a customer point of view, how disappointing is it? You get issue number 1, you're like, oh, that's awesome, I want to read issue number 2, and then it's like 2 years later, 3 years. So like if you do the crowdfunding first, and in a couple of years, once you have like 4, 5, 6 issues, then you can just reissue them every couple of months.
Yeah. Make a trade, make a hardcover. Yeah, I am thinking about stuff like that. Yeah. I was talking, Nick and I were talking about, setting up a website for like a store where you could buy like, t-shirts and whatever. Because I'm making cool logos for every one of the characters that would just look great on a t-shirt. That's part of being a superhero. That S is amazing. The Batman symbol is amazing. The Captain Marvel lightning bolt is amazing. The Spider, the Fantastic. So to be a superhero, you got to have a cool name, you got to have a cool costume, and you got to have a cool symbol.
Yep.
So I'm thinking about marketing, but doesn't that sound crass when you say it like that? You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
no, not at all. Not to me.
Okay, good.
No, I used to work in marketing, so
okay. Because I am thinking this character would look good from a marketing standpoint. Like I always say, a simple and elegant design, the least amount of lines. Like I don't like the Jim Lee extraneous lines all over Batman's costume. Batman's costume to me is like, it should be a muscular guy in that Adam West costume.
Well, even Jim Lee has said he regrets drawing all those lines on Batman.
Oh, because now he's got to draw it 900 times. Well, he doesn't draw anymore anyway. But yeah, I know what he says.
One thing I'll put out there: underwear.
Oh yeah, you
remember how cool underoos were when we were kids?
Oh yeah, yes, yep. You're absolutely right. How would I make underwear? Nick, get on that.
Yeah, just a t-shirt and boxers to match.
If you get on underoos. I don't know. I want pinups, and here's a cool thing is I got original art now hanging up in my room of the black and white, the original drawing by Pat Broderick, the original Michael T. Gilbert. How cool is that? They're like, oh, you're going to sell that? I'm like, I don't want to. It's the cover to my first comic book. I don't want to sell it. But
yeah, I wouldn't sell that either.
Yeah.
But well, I know you've got a bunch of streams to do tonight, and you got a bag of White Castle waiting for you.
Yep.
So
White Castle, and White Castle fries no longer just come in one size. Oh, Nick, again, the omniscient, ever-present Nick Axe says, John is speechless. He doesn't want to admit he's still wearing them. Yes, I'm wearing my.
If I had some, I would too.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right.
Come on. I'm the only one. I'm the only one wearing Batgirl underwear.
Yeah. Man, you got the symbol, and then if you had like the glow in the dark ink, so it was for pajamas, like that'd be so cool.
I went to Teespring and I made a patriarch hoodie. So I got a
Mhm.
purple hoodie with the laurel wreath on it. I couldn't get the triangle. But that's So I like that. But if anybody has a good T-shirt person that could actually make like it looks like you're putting on a patriarch, I would love that. To
Hmm.
wear that, to sell that. The Mary Sue. I don't want to give it away, but I'm so proud of this symbol that I made for. It's it fits the concept of her background so well. I don't want to spoil it. So I just think people who aren't even in comic books are going to want this T-shirt. For
Very
Mary Sue.
cool.
So excited. So
So if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, then the link is pinned to the top of the chat and it's down in the description. If you're watching this on John's channel, I
I'll
assume
put it in
it's
the
somewhere.
description afterwards. Yeah.
All right. It'll be in the description. And people on X, well, go follow John.
My Twitter is Zentorian. I'm so embarrassed by this because it was like one of those randomly generated things. Zentorian 2000 at yahoo.com or Zentorian 2000. I just gave you my email. And you could do that. My John's Longbox Twitter got vaporized because I argued with somebody about something, but I was too stupid to argue. I should have shut my mouth. It's my own fault.
All right. And, if you haven't subbed to my channel, then come on, guys.
Yeah, sub
Show a little love.
Yang,
Yang Yan Jiao 4.
and one of my favorite people to talk to.
All right. So,
And
John,
I also want to give a shout out. Master Swag was in the chat. Another guy. I love being on his channel because it's like who would win in a fight, Batman or the Thing, and
yeah.
it's all comic book stuff. No drama, just silly little kid comic book stuff. Who's got a cooler costume, Captain Marvel or Spider-Man? I love talking about that stuff.
Yeah, he's got a great channel, and
yeah, it's a lot of fun. Very
surprising how many streams he can put out too.
I know,
it's amazing.
I know. And the guy looks like he's 12, but he's in his 30s.
I know what you mean. It's almost like you've had John Hervey on, right? For a while.
No,
you haven't. What?
Matter of fact, he just contacted me today. So I said, today I got a bunch of streams. Let me check out your stuff and we'll set something up. So
dude, his stuff is amazing.
Good. I worked during the day and I've been working a couple of hours overtime. So I literally had some guy was getting mad at me because I didn't respond. I'm like, I'm sorry. No offense, but Saturday and Sunday I'll respond to everybody. I'll check out all these links. Forgive me.
Yeah, you would definitely love the Black Tiger Kung Fu series.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Awesome.
And I think he's still selling the first collection. It's like 176 pages. I think he's charging like $25 for or something.
That's awesome. If you're selling 125 pages for $25, to me that tells me that you believe in it.
Yeah.
And I believe in my comic. I really don't want to go higher than 10. I just feel like a comic book is something that a kid should be able to afford. Yeah. And if a kid can't afford it, you're doing something wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This comic book is designed for adults and kids to enjoy. So it's got to be a price that both can, ideally it would be $1.50 and the price of a Snickers bar, but we can't do that,
Sadly.
Yeah.
So where are you going to be later tonight? I know you've got at least one more stream.
Yeah, I'm going to be on Argonauts. Argonauts on Indiegogo is the name of his. I'm going to be on his on what time is it? 9:00, and then Frog Tony on the Geek Getaway at 10:00.
Nice.
So I scheduled tomorrow. If anybody wants to have me on and talk, I'll come on. I'm in full on Stan Lee mode right now. True Believers, excellent comic book. You're gonna love it. So yes, Marcus, I'm no longer arguing on Twitter. I know he enjoys me and my stupid stubbornness, but I can't afford to lose another Twitter account over something meaningless. The only arguments are Batman cannot beat the Thing. Fight me.
No.
So
yeah, everybody go check out John. And if you're in the mood for some gaming streams, I will be on the Dungeon Delvers channel at 9 o'clock. We're going to play some classic Gamma World. The group had just gone to Disney World in the future, which was taken over by murderous robots from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. We'll see what other shenanigans are in store tonight.
Nice. That sounds like fun.
All right. So, John, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Everyone in the chats, thanks.
Enjoy the white pepper, everybody.
And we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you for showing up, everybody, and thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. Bye-bye.